you want, you can just quote.
Okay,
So should we start? Good evening, everybody. Today is day 8 of the autism series, and the topic for today is early intervention in autism, its rationale, and causes of developmental disabilities. The speaker for today is Dr. Swaruparani. She has done her BHMS from JSPS Government Homeopathic Medical College, Hyderabad in 2003, MSc in Disability Studies, Early Intervention from NIEPID, and MSc in Psychology from Nagarjuna University. She has 22 years of clinical experience, including 6 years as an early interventionist at Government Midhusar Hospital for Women and Children in Hyderabad. She specializes in homeopathy, psychology, child development, and in early intervention. And she runs a clinic by the name Dr. Swarupa's Homeocare and Child Development Center in Sikandrabad. So over to you, Dr. Swaruparani. Please start your presentation.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to present myself. I'm an early interventionist. So today's topic is early intervention. It's rationale, that means its importance and causes of developmental disabilities and prevention of disabilities. Early intervention, the name implies itself. Early means as soon as possible, and intervene means to intervene the child developments so that child will achieve the normal development. Definition: early intervention is defined as introduction of planned programming deliberately timed and arranged in order to alter the anticipated or projected course of development. Early intervention is a term which refers to wide range of experiences and support provided to the children, families, parents, and during pregnancy, infancy, and early childhood of development. What are the aims of early intervention? The main aim of early intervention is prevention of developmental disabilities and delays, screening and identification of the at-risk children, and stimulating the child through the normal developmental channels and to enhance the normal development and independent functioning of the child. It also helps to maximize the child residual capacity and to minimize the need of future therapy and special education. It increases the family awareness and involvement in intervention, and that will enhance the child development. Focus of early intervention is mainly on screening of the children, the newborn to toddlers, and identification of the disability, early identification so that we can intervene early and we can provide the therapies and training to the parents, and prevention of developmental disability or delay, and it helps to promotion of positive assets of the developmentally delayed child and helps to enhance the capacity of the family to meet the special needs of their infants and toddlers. What is the rationale behind the early intervention? Why early intervention is important? Early intervention implies that earlier learning is a foundation to later learning, which is one of the principle of child development. And most of the brain growth, motor development, language, personality development, temperament, attachment, social development is achieved in the first 2 years of the child development. And the brain growth is also very fast in the first few years of life, that is in newborn to 2 years, and plasticity and sensory motor development, learning, language development, cognitive development, and personality traits which are developed in the newborn to toddler's life. Brain growth, the infant brain grows very fast. At birth, it is about 250 grams, and by 1 year, it will reach around 750 grams. That is half of the adult brain weight. Comparing to the adult size, it is approximately 33% at the birth. So you can see here in the first week, 3 months, 1 year, and 2 years and 10 years. Okay, and Synaptogenesis. Synaptogenesis means the wiring of the neural connections. Neurons are brain is developed after the birth mainly by the synaptogenesis. That means wiring connections between the neurons. Brain growth and development begins during the gestation and into the postnatal period. Brain development can be divided into different stages, including neurogenesis, that is production of new neurons, differentiation, proliferation, and migration, synaptogenesis, gliogenesis, and myelination, and synaptic pruning. Synaptogenesis occurs in the third trimester, and it starts during the gestation and it continues to the 2 years of postnatal life and also later. And myelination includes the layer of the axon, which is important for the conduction of neuron impulses, electronic impulses of the brain. You can see a prenatal development where the neural tube starts at, as early as like 4 weeks of the gestation, and it continues to grow into different parts of the brain, and like forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain, and neural tube. The brain is the first one which develops at the start. It starts like at the age 18 days of the conception. Neuroplasticity is very important, which is a remarkable ability to change and adapt throughout the life. This involves recognizing neural pathways and connections in response to new information, sensory stimulation, learning, and experience of the child, and even to the damage. Essentially, the brain can rewire itself, forming the new connections and modify existing ones to respond to the new challenges and opportunities. This helps, and this neuroplasticity is very crucial for the brain development. This is more in the first 2 years of life. Neuroplasticity is a dynamic process, which means it's not static; it continues throughout the life, but it is very fast in the first 2 years of life. Learning and adaptation, it allows the brain to learn new skills, new memories, and adapt to the new situations. Response to the injury. Neuroplasticity is also crucial for the recovery of brain injuries such as stroke by allowing the other areas of brain to compensate the damaged areas. So when one area is damaged, the brain, other part of the brain will compensate the damaged regions by developing the new synapses. Beyond childhood, it is once it was believed that plasticity is limited to only childhood, but now the research shows that it is a lifelong process. For example, if you learn a new language, playing a musical instrument, or recovering from a physical injury, it involves all the neuroplastic changes. And structural and functional changes. Neuroplasticity can involve both structural changes and functional changes. Structural changes means it like creating a new synapses and neural pathways. Functional changes means like strengthening the existing connections. Here you can see the structural neuroplasticity where new synapses are forming between the neurons. And functional neuroplasticity, where the synaptic remodeling following the brain dysfunction or injury takes place, and the pre-existing or damaged neurons will die, and the new neurons will form the synaptic connections over time to recover the lost functions. Importance of neuroplasticity in autism. Why neuroplasticity is important? In medical terms, you can see already we have gone through the autism, so many webinars. So all of you know about autism. Autism is referred to like it's also known as autism spectrum disorder. It's a neurodevelopmental condition characterized by persistent challenges with the communication, social interaction, along with the restricted repetitive patterns of behavior and interest. And the spectrum highlights the wide range of symptoms. It varies degree from severity to mild. By leveraging the neuroplasticity, we can tailor the interventions, can create new neural connections, enhancing the child developmental ability to learn new things and thrive. So, early intervention also provides to build the communication skills like speech therapy, for example, it helps the children to form the new neural pathways along with the associated with the language comprehension and verbal expression. It helps in the strengthening of the social interaction. Applied behavior analysis, it is also known as ABA. It promotes the positive behavioral enhancement and encouraging the better social connections, social interactions. It also encourages the emotional regulation. Like behavior therapy helps the children to manage the sensory issues and to build the self-regulation. And most of the kids with autism will have different emotional expressions, temper tantrums, okay, and the science behind the early intervention. So, recent studies in 22 highlights that the early behavior interventions can lead to improvement in IQ, social adaptiveness, and language development and functioning with the children with autism. And this aligns the principles of neuroplasticity. Early experiences can shape the brain development. The sooner the parents engage the children in therapy, the greater the likelihood of creating lasting and positive changes in the brain structure and function. So, if we allow the child to experience the different motor and speech, the environment and surrounding of the home is very important. The parents' role is very crucial in the early intervention and to enhance the child development. So, ABA, you can see the applied behavior analysis, which is the benefits of ABA include individualized approach. Usually, we tailor the early interventions according to the child capacities, abilities, and each child is unique in its needs, and we help in developing communication, self-help skills, socialization, and emotional regulations. We use the positive reinforcement through the like reward-based learning, and ABA strengthens the neural pathways that encourage the adaptive behavior. Evidence-based structures. So many studies shown that there is after receiving the ABA at least 20 hours per week, there is a remarkable progress in the cognitive function, adaptive behavior, and communication. So many people have the doubts regarding early intervention. Is it useful for all the kids? Is it really help in rewiring the brain? Yes. If you bring the child as soon as possible, like 1 year also, we can diagnose, we can recognize, identify the early autism symptoms, and we can start the therapy. So I have seen many cases where if the child is brought around 1.5 to 2 years of age, we can see a lot of improvement. They are becoming normal, and they are going now to they are attending the normal school. So how therapy can rewrite the brain? So absolutely, the neuroplasticity helps the brain to form the new connections, and through the structured and consistent therapy, children with autism can build skills previously struggled like communication and social interaction. So, for the communication, the parent's role is important along with the special educator or therapist. For social interaction, child should be exposed to the kids. Along with kids, they have to play. For the social interaction, they can go to the play school. So now, because of nuclear families, there are no grandparents in the family. So because of this, and many parents are working full time, so there is no time for the parents to spend with the kid. So most of the kids, even though at home, then they are giving mobiles to the kids. So many cases I have seen where there is a addiction to the screen, and the child will start behavior problems. They start like they can use the mobile. They can get like echolalia will be there repeating the words, rhymes, but there is no functional communication or speech. So when should we start the therapy? Soon the better, earlier the better, we can see the good results. Early intervention capitalizes the brain's plasticity during the childhood and making the therapy more effective and long lasting. Is progress guaranteed for every child with autism? So most common parents will ask this. So how many days it will be take, how much time is the improvement. So every child is unique in this universe. So we can say every child capacity is different. And the stage of child at which they brought, like mild to moderate and 2 years. If it is below 2 years, we can see normal. They can achieve the normal development. They can go to the normal school. Okay, they can achieve normal communication and speech and language development. Many cases we can see like there is no eye contact, and because of screen, they are like self talk will be there in the autistic kids. So what are the functional achievement, then that can be turned into positiveness into the child life. You can see the Piaget theory of cognitive development, which is sensory motor development, pre-operational stage, concrete operational stage, and formal stage. Sensory motor stage is the first stage, which includes from 0 to 2 years of life. Okay, sensory motor from birth to 2 years. In this stage, the most of the kids will explore everything by touching, seeing, looking at, grasping. They will try to grasp everything. They keep it in mouthing, and they will touch and see. So this is sensory motor. Sensory means through our senses, like tasting, smelling, and touching, hearing. So this is sensory motor stage. First 2 years is very important. And pre-operational stage, this stage is very important. In most of the autistic kids, there will be language developmental delay. So in pre-operational stage, the child will develop the language, the ability to symbolize themselves, to represent the object and ideas. They also begin to engage in pretend play and develop a sense of egocentrism, which means they have difficulty in understanding that other people may have the different perspectives from their own. For example, the child will start pretend play, like they will pretend like parents, okay, and like role of teacher, role of mother and father. You can see while playing, and also they will start language using language functionally, like two-word phrases. Okay, two words, two sentences. They will develop the simple language, two-word sentences to complex sentences during the pre-operational stage. So in the autistic kids, mostly there will be neuroregression of the speech. This is the first thing, first identification mark. So only when there is a neural sensory, uh, so and pre-operational stage, you can see the difficulty in understanding. There is no logical reasoning in these kids. And concrete operational stage. In this stage occurs around 7 to 12 years of old. During this stage, child becomes more logical. She can think more logically and can perform more mental operations on concrete objects. They can develop the ability to classify the objects, like these are the animals, fruits and different things, friends, male, female, everything they can differentiate. And the law of conservation. The law of conservation is very important, which is developed in the concrete operational stage, which is not there in the pre-operational stage. The law of conservation means if you give a child a juice in the bowl, in the white bowl, and you can pour it into the long tumbler or glass, then the child thinks at the pre-operational stage, like 2 to 7 year old, she thinks that in the bowl it is, in the glass it is more than the bowl, because it appears longer. Whereas in the concrete operations, like after 7 years old, she can develop the logical thinking. So, and law of conservation. That means she can understand it is same in both. The quantity is same in both. Okay, this is law of conservation, and also can understand a reversibility. That means a process can be undone. For example, uh, if you take the ice, it can form the water after heating, and after cooling, the water can be formed into ice. So that this is reversibility. So in this stage, they can understand the reversibility of the objects. But in pre-operational stage, that won't be there. Okay, and formal operational stage, uh, which is around 12 years. It starts around 12 years of old and continues to the adulthood. During the formal operational stage, individual develops the ability to think abstractly, engage in hypothetical reasoning, imagination, and deductive reasoning. They can also solve the complex problems and understand the hypothetical situation. They can imagine everything and they can solve the things. They can imagine the problem. If you give anything, then they can imagine the problem. They can the solve. That capacity is not there in the concrete operational stage. Formal operational stage is in the adolescent. It is also known as a daydreaming stage. Stages of language development. Because if you know the normal development, then only we know the abnormal development of the child. And mostly in the autism kids, there is a delay or regression of the language development, speech and language development. So language development can be divided into pre-linguistic and true speech development. Pre-linguistic into crying. First 0 to 2 months, there is a crying, only crying like so this is only uh, next cooing. Cooing starts in 3 to 5 months. Babbling, the child will repeat the words like tata, baba, mama. Okay, it involves more consonants and first one word. True speech develops around 18 months of age. Child starts using single word meaningfully to express themselves. And two word stage, which starts around 18 months to 2 years of age. They start themselves like using simple two word phrases like mama, da, lala, e. And next preschool stage, 3 to 5 years, they start communicating complex sentences. So language development generally processed through the several key stages: pre-linguistic, babbling, one word, that is called holophrasic, two-word stage, telegraphic stage. Okay, and these stages are mostly development of both receptive language and expressive language. Receptive means understanding the language, and expressive means they can speak the language. Okay, pre-linguistic, you can see birth to 12 months, cooing. Infants start oval sounds in response to social interaction. When mother says smile, says okay, babbling, like along with the consonant and vowel sounds like mama, dada, vocal play. Infants combines with the different vowels and consonant like jargon. You can say mama, dada, ma. Receptive language, which infant starts recognizing the familiar voices. Like they can recognize the mother's voice. They can start responding. Like when you say mom, baby, those start smiling, and they say eye contact. They will give eye contact and they will smile. And if they are crying, if you say like mother, if after hearing the mother's voice, they start responding like they stop crying and they start smiling. So this is very important, but this may lag in the autism kids. They won't give the eye contact when she called by name, and they won't give the eye contact also, and they start they won't responding like social smile won't be there. So this is early sign of autism. One word stage starts from 12 to 18 months. Children begin to use like single words to express themselves through the ideas. These are referred to familiar objects or people like mama, nana, tata, dada, bye, baba. They will say ba instead of bye. They will say ba. Okay, for giving like asking water, they can say in Telugu they will say la la. Annam they will say like mama. Sir, for rice or food they will say mama. So this is one word stage which develops around 12 to 18 months. By 12 to 18 months, child should develop at least 3 to 20 words. And two word stage. It is in the toddlerhood, 18 to 24 months. Child start combining two words to form the simple sentences. And you can see telegraphic stage, which is around 24, like 2 years to 2.5 years. Child will use short, simple sentences using keywords and omitting the grammar. So they won't use the articles, prepositions, and sentences. They use only simple sentences. Like if they want to go for a drive, they will say, "Nana, go car. Mama, buy car," like this. And if they want chocolate, "Mama, choco. Mama, choco." So they use simple words. Even if you want to learn, like if you want to make the child to learn language, you should use the simple sentences. You should start we say like baby language. You should start simple language, and you should use only mother tongue first. Initially, only one language should be introduced so that there won't be confusion in the child. And as a child grows into the like 4 years, 5 years, they start using the grammar, prepositions, grammar, complex sentences, singing, rhymes, telling stories, everything. They will start after 3 years of age. So multi-words start with after 30 months, and they can use uh, more grammar and master the rules of their language. So, what is receptive and expressive? Receptive is the understanding capacity of the child, and which develops before the expressive language. They can understand, but they can't express initially. And individual variation is every child is unique in its development of the language, and it depends on various factors like family structure and the child languages exposed, and the family surroundings. Language disorders. When there is a language developmental delay, we can consider first one is a language disorder, and autism. And this is the most important thing is the hearing impairment. In hearing impairment also, the language development will be delayed. Many cases I have seen where the auditory impairment, because of auditory impairment, they won't develop the language and speech. They won't respond because there is no auditory input. Auditory input is very important for the speech and language development. In the hearing impairment kids, there won't be development of language. But they use sign language mostly. Uh, but in autism, this is lag. We can go for the screening of hearing if we see the language developmental delay. Okay. And formal tests like a clapping, we can see. But if you go for the Bera test, it can be diagnosed whether it is hearing impairment or is it normal. Regression of speech and language development is one of the most important characteristic feature of the autism. If the child is speaking well up to 18 months, okay, she is speaking like single words, mama, dada, bye. So most of the parents will say like this. My child was fine up to 18 months or 2 years of age. Then suddenly she stopped talking. So, so this is a first red flag of autism, early sign of autism. So make sure that you can see this say a regression say in the seizures also. So first we have to rule out is there any pathology, any pathological conditions in the child. Then we should go for the screening of the language and development and any disorders or diseases. What are the causes and prevention of developmental delays? Developmental delay or disability, it refers the child's failure to reach age-appropriate developmental milestones in one or more areas of the development, such as motor, speech, language, cognition, and social emotional skills. It's essentially a slower pace when compared to the development of peers. So a developmental delay means you should comparing with the normal kids. In developmental delay, it does not meet the milestones in the time. So there will be delay when compared to the development of peers with the same age group. Milestones, these are the skills and abilities that most of the children can do by certain age. So what are the areas development? There is gross motor, fine motor, speech and language, cognition, social, emotional skills. Global developmental delay, which refers to two or more developmental areas, there will be delay. This is seen mostly under the age of 5 years. In mostly global developmental delay, we can see in the multiple disabilities like congenital rubella syndrome and others like seizures, continuous seizures, encephalopathy. These conditions make the child global developmental delay. So early identification of the developmental delays is very crucial for timely intervention, which is significantly impact the child long-term development and to achieve the normal development. What are the prenatal causes? It includes we can see maternal age. Maternal age appropriately should be around 20 to 30 years of age is the appropriate maternal age to conceive, to give birth to healthy children. But if it is more than 35 years, we can see more Down syndrome or genetic abnormalities and also autism kids. And before 20, it is immature womb. Because of immature womb also, there may be chance of chromosomal abnormality. So it should be between 20 to 30 years is the childbearing age, appropriate childbearing age. But in nowadays, this is becoming delayed. Like they are struggling for career. Only after 30s they are going to marry and conceive after 35, around 40 years. So if it is delayed, then there is more chance of developing autism and chromosomal defects. Like physical build. Short build means the mother, if it is short build, there will be less space in the mother's womb to develop. So it may hamper the child development. General health of mother, nutritional status, multiple gravida, less birth spacing. It should be minimum 2 years of age gap should be there between the two pregnancies. And when there is a history of abortions also, you should be very careful. And like infections, which is TARCH group of infections are very crucial in the development of neurodevelopmental disabilities, which can cause a neurodevelopmental disabilities. STD, sexually transmitted diseases, diabetes. We can see the large babies in the diabetes and also hypoglycemia after birth and hypertension. In the hypertension also, it affects the brain of the child during the pregnancy. RH incompatibility, where there is a difference in blood group of mother and child, mother and fetus. Emotional status of the mother. So emotional status is very important. So many cases I have observed where there is a significant uh, correlation between the emotional status of the mother and development of autism. When emotionally depressed mother is there because of in-laws or some issues with the husband, so family issues or sudden death of some family members, which can cause a depression. So I've seen many cases we start usually prescribing based on the cause. So if you take the case in detail, we can see the emotional state. So first we have to start from the prenatal itself, history of prenatal conditions before prescribing the medicines, homeopathic medicines for the children with autism. Okay. And mostly happy mother will give birth to happy child. And infections, we can see the TARCH group of infections. We can see more detail. Toxoplasmosis, others, rubella, cytomegalovirus, herpes simplex, which are infected during pregnancy, can significantly impact the both mother and developing fetus, potentially leading to the various complications and birth defects. So in congenital rubella, this triad is very important, like cataract, congenital cataract, and this may lead to blindness, and cardiac abnormalities, congenital heart disease, and sensory neural deafness. So this triad is there. Then we should go for the diagnosis of rubella by screening, and lab test can be done for IgG of rubella or IgM. Mostly in cases where there are multiple disabilities, we screen for the rubella infection, and mostly in many cases there is positive rubella and other TARCH infections. Effects on mother. Uh, in mother, there will be mild to moderate or asymptomatic. Mostly, there will be mild fever or rash sometimes, but in fetus, they can impact the like they can destroy the fetus also many times. It results in the multiple disabilities are microcephaly and CHD, congenital heart disease, and blindness. Okay, and it can lead to miscarriage, stillbirth, and premature birth. The time of infection is very important. If it is in the first trimester of pregnancy, it lead to the abortions mostly, and if it is the second trimester, it may lead to the multiple disabilities. Okay, and the premature birth. So how severe it depends upon the severity infection, time of infection of the mother. So and herpes simplex, it can lead to the more severe symptoms in mother, and it is a primary infection during pregnancy. It can touch infections can be very cause very range of symptoms like congenital defects to developmental delays. These include neurological damage like brain abnormalities, developmental delays, intellectual disability, visual impairment, hearing impairment, heart defects, and liver dysfunction. Specific defects can vary depends upon the infecting agent and timing of infection during pregnancy. For example, congenital rubella can cause cataracts, heart defects, and deafness. Congenital CMV also can lead to neurological damage, hearing loss, and visual impairment. Toxoplasmosis can cause eye and brain damage. Herpes simplex virus can cause skin lesions, neurological damage, and even death. RH incompatibility. So in this rubella syndrome, I have seen and I can see the kid like with IUGR. There is a small kid with small mouth. Microcephaly was there with heart defect and and cerebral palsy. There was a severe spasticity of the child. Okay, and at the age of 5 years also there is no head control. We started at the age of 1 year early intervention, but there was no improvement, whereas in other kids we can see lot of improvement when they brought around 1 year of age, but in these cases I have seen there was no improvement at all. And RH incompatibility, most of the people will know RH incompatibility. Like when the mother is negative for negative group, like A negative, B negative, that is called rhesus negative. And when mother carries a baby, a fetus with the positive, like A positive or B positive, then it is known as RH incompatibility, where the RH usually we have the antigens when antigens are H positive cases. When the mother is pregnant, when the RH negative mother is pregnant and carries with the RH positive baby, then the blood of mother mixes with the baby's blood through the placenta. This can lead to the antibodies development in the mother, and which attack the baby's red blood cells because they destroy them, recognizing as a foreign cells. Okay, this may lead to the anemia, jaundice, and severe cases heart failure, organ damage, and even death. So here you can see the rhesus negative mother and carrying the rhesus positive. But if the mother is RH positive and baby is RH negative, there won't be any impact on the pregnancy. But in the first pregnancy, usually there won't be any effect on the fetus. But in the second pregnancy, where the mother is already sensitized for the RH positive, so she developed RH antibodies circulating in the blood circulation, which crosses through the placenta and attacks the baby blood cells. So, which can result in the hemolytic jaundice and uh, baby's development, brain development, and hemolytic anemia and jaundice and liver failure. In these cases, we give usually anti-D injection during pregnancy and immediately after the immediately after the delivery, like 24 to 48 hours it should be given, so that the sensitivity will be reduced, so that there won't be antibodies in the mother's body, and second pregnancy will be safe. And also other causes includes drugs, chemicals, poisons, exposure to the X-rays, alcohol, smoking, and physical trauma, emotional trauma, genetical and chromosomal causes. And alcohol, if you see, if the mother takes alcohol during pregnancy, it may result in the fetal damage. Like we say like alcohol fetal alcohol syndrome, where the child may develop micrognathia, microcephaly, and intellectual disabilities after the birth. And natal causes like prolonged labor. Normally, it should be like 20, not should not be more than 24 hours. Okay, but in if it is prolonged, like more than 24 to 36 hours or 48 hours, then will be chances of developing anoxia of the brain of the fetus, and difficult later delivery, where there is a when they try for the normal delivery, when there is a pelvic disproportion of the mother and fetus head, so and arrested labor and abnormal presentation. So we can see IUGR, that is intrauterine growth retardation, where the normal placenta and IUGR placenta. So placenta is very healthy in normal kids, normal baby, and IUGR placenta you can see very small. This is more important in the viral infections. And placenta previa, abnormal position of the placenta, and card around the neck, and delayed birth cry. So delayed birth cry, it is also known as birth asphyxia. So first cry is very important for the child for the normal development. If it is delayed, we go for the ABGA score immediately. If it should be ABGA score should be between 8 to 10. If it is very low, by 5 factors we can analyze the ABGA score. Okay, and it is if the delayed cries, it leads to the damage of the neurons, and it can damage neurons permanently. Okay, and child should be under ventilation immediately. Delayed birth cry, next twins and multiple pregnancies. This is also one of the risk factor for the developmental delays. And cesarean section, forceps or vacuum extraction, where there will be direct damage to the head while extracting the baby's head. Injury during delivery, pre and post-term deliveries. Preterm is usually known as before 30 to 40 weeks of gestation is the normal, 36 to 40 weeks. Preterm is known as before 32 weeks, and postterm is after 42 weeks of gestation. And neonatal seizures. Seizures are very important. If the baby is suffering with a neonatal seizures, it can it can stop the development, and it can also lead to the neuroregression. It may be because of different causes like viral and bacterial infection, meningoencephalitis. The treatment should be given immediately to stop the seizures. Postnatal causes. So after the birth, what are the causes of developmental delays? Like infections, viral, bacterial, and nutrition, like low birth weight baby. Normal weight is a 2.5 to 3 kgs. If the baby's weight is below 2.5, it is called a low birth weight, and very low birth weight, it is below 1.5 kgs. This is itself is a red flag for the developmental delay. Okay, and prematurity. So prematurity, like 32 weeks to 36 weeks to 40 weeks is a normal. If it is before 32 weeks, it is known as premature baby. Okay, and if it is more premature, like before 28 weeks, it is more at the risk of developmental delay and development of intellectual disability. And we call these children as at-risk children. And in the early intervention, we screen for the developmental delays regularly. At the Nilofer Hospital, we have seen many cases. We used to get these cases to the early intervention follow-up regularly. So we start interviewing the development at as soon as like 1 month. Okay, we teach the parents like positioning of the baby, how you should be like positioning, carrying, feeding. So, and every month screening of the child, like at the 3 months, 6 months DQ will be done, and advise the parents how to develop the normal development, like head control and uh, prone positioning should be given. Avoid massaging when there is a hypertone, and in hypotonic cases there should massage can be given. So there are child rearing practices in are different in different areas of the India, but in most of the cases in South India we can see where there is a lot of massaging will be done to the kids, but that should be avoided when there is a birth asphyxia and there is a development of cerebral palsy. So it will lead, massaging can lead to the severe spasticity, for the development of the severe spasticity, and motor development will be delayed. Okay, next, injuries. Okay, during head injuries are the most dangerous one for the developmental disabilities, and metabolic disorders like PKU, phenylketonuria, and endocrine disorders, hypothyroidism. When the mother is suffering with hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, child should be screened for the thyroid immediately, like T3, T4, TSH should be done immediately. Then after 3 months, then 6 months, then 1 year, then 2 years, it should be done. Regular screening should be done for the thyroid. So hypothyroidism is one of the cause where there may be delay in the development, motor development, intellectual development, cognitive development, and growth retardation will be there in the children with hypothyroidism. And seizures. So continuous seizures uh, can lead to the brain damage. Next, prevention. In prevention, we can see primary prevention, secondary prevention, and tertiary prevention. Primary prevention is the action taken prior to the onset of the disease, which removes the possibility of disease or development that occur in the future. So, primary prevention is the prevention of disease or disability before it occurs. This is a prevention. Uh, and primary prevention we can start before pregnancy itself, like giving folic acid supplementation to the mother before planning of pregnancy, and avoid teenage pregnancy or late pregnancies. Planned pregnancy like 3 months before, and we can go for the CVP, like we can check the hemoglobin level, iron level, and the maintenance of the good health of the mother, and proper birth spacing should be done, and supplementation of folic acid to prevent the neural tube defect. And the neural tube is very important for the brain development. It starts at the age of 18th day of pregnancy. So folic acid supplementation should be start before pregnancy itself, because 18th day means even the mother doesn't know she is pregnant. Okay, so we should start the supplementation of folic acid before the planning of pregnancy itself, like at least 1 month before, and during the pregnancy also it should be continued. Minimum should be 4 milligram. 4 milligram should be given, and it should be continued throughout the pregnancy also to prevent the birth defects, because folic acid is very important for the neurons development and many structures tissues development also. Folic acid is very important. Prenatal checkup. During prenatal, so should go for regular antenatal checkups. Nutrition, proper nutrition should be given to the mother, and hygiene is very important to prevent the syphilis infections and other infections like torch infections, and avoid physical and emotional trauma. And should be very careful during the pregnancy to avoid the physical trauma, like long journeys, bike journeys, and emotional trauma. All the conflict should be avoided. Mother should be in peaceful and happy, like listening music, reading books, which can stabilize the mood of mother. So mother's emotional status is very important for the protection of a healthy baby, and should avoid the exposure of drugs or radiation, and genetic counseling given to the parents to prevent the genetic abnormalities like Down syndrome, which can prevent the genetic abnormalities, and options will be given to the parents to go for the MTP if any chromosomal abnormality is there during the diagnosis. If after the diagnosis, we can advise them for the genetic counseling. So, what are the diagnostic tests for genetic abnormalities? Chorionic villus sampling, amniocentesis, and percutaneous umbilical cord sampling. Chorionic villus sampling can be done as soon as 10 to 13 weeks of pregnancy, and amniocentesis 15 to 20 weeks of pregnancy. Percutaneous umbilical sampling can be done after 18 weeks of pregnancy. In amniocentesis, we take the sample of amniotic fluid to analyze the fetal DNA, and percutaneous umbilical sampling, we take the sample of fetal blood from the umbilical cord to analyze the genetic abnormalities, but it's very risky as it may cause bleeding or abortion. So, why genetic test is performed? To assess the risk of genetic conditions. Okay, is there any chances of like Down syndrome, cystic fibrosis, sickle cell disease, and to make the informed decision about the pregnancy. So, test results can help the parents to make the decisions about their pregnancy care, delivery plan, and the potential treatment of the child, and to prepare for the birth of child with special needs. So if it is diagnosed very later, like third after third during third trimester, so mothers can't go for the MD. So should be informed before. So what are the special needs? How what is the developmental future development of the child? So what are the risks should be explained to the mother, so that they should aware of the applied resources around them, and in the society what are the resources for the developmental delay child. And also it helps the prevention of the genetic abnormal kids like Down syndrome. Okay, if it is diagnosed early, like before, like in third, like 3 months or 4 months early, as soon as early, then it we can advise them to go for the MTP. And what are the natal causes? That is during the delivery, hospital delivery should be advised, and delivery are by trained nurse, monitoring of the newborn, and management of the hypoglycemia and hypothyroidism immediately after birth, and rapid treatment of anoxia should be given, and protection of the eyes to avoid the syphilis causing damage to the eyes or developing visual impairment. But in most of the cases, like in normal vaginal deliveries, we can see the syphilis infection of the eyes. You can say like ophthalmia neonatorum. There is a discharge and stickiness of the eyes, and they may develop the visual impairment. So protection of eyes is very important. And postnatal. So after the birth, we should give good nutrition, and growth monitoring should be done. Child rearing practices, we should advise the parents what is good, what should be done, how to carry, how to position the baby. So we can modify the child rearing practices. And next, prevention of trauma and immunization. So time immunization, like the prevention of polio. Uh, so we should follow the immunization schedule. Next, secondary prevention is the action taken which halts the progress of the disease at its initial stage and prevents further complications. Example, early identification of the developmental delay, or early identification of autism with and we should provide early intervention with adequate treatment with suitable intervention like the speech therapy for the communication development if the child is lagging visual impairment. Kids, we should start visual stimulation so that they can achieve the normal visual development. If there is any auditory impairments like mild or moderate uh, auditory impairment, we should start auditory stimulation as soon as possible. So we screen the kids at the high risk baby OP or high risk baby follow up. We screen the kids, every kid for the auditory, visual, and motor development. And we can see by the reflexes also, most of the development will be through reflexes in the first few months. Okay. And for auditory screening, if there is any doubt after formal screening like capping, using the rattle, if there is no response, first response to the auditory sound is a startle response. You can see like if there is a sudden sound, you can see like startle. So this is a startle response. If there is no startle response in the baby, so we will send them to the further diagnosis like Bera test or audiogram or ENT specialist. So we will diagnose the case. If we start auditory stimulation, so I've seen many cases in when they brought around like 3 months, 6 months. So we advise the parents to give auditory stimulation at the home, like using rattles. You can see like making sound at one side, like right side, left side, and tracking. Child should see the rattle, and child should track the rattle like up and down. So from where there is sound is coming, which from which source it is coming. So if it is not there, then we can see this may be the early sign of auditory impairment. So which can also lead to the communication development. And cochlear implantation, we advise when there is a need of cochlear implantation as soon as possible. If it is before 3 years, it will be very useful because most of the language development will start before 2 years. After 5 6 years, if it is late, means if we give like cochlear implantation also, they won't be much useful. And if we start the intervention for there after 6 years, there won't be much development. Only 10% of chance will be there. Most of the brain development will complete, will be like 80% of development will be there by 3 to 4 years, and 90% of brain development will complete by the age of 5 years, and only 10% of chance will be there for the development. And next is the mm, prevention of secondary complications and long-term disabilities. Tertiary prevention, all measures available to reduce or limit the impairments and disabilities and minimize the suffering caused by the existing disability. So already there is a disability is there, uh, and it is identified very late. So if a child is brought around 3 years, when there is permanent disability of visual impairment or hearing impairment, so now it can be again they can't be normal. So we provide rehabilitation, utilization of existing capacities, combined and coordinated use of medical, social, educational, occasional measures, and to develop the optimum level of the functional ability. What is the functional ability of the child? So if the child is there is impairment, auditory impairment is there. Child is suffering with deafness, but she can see. She can use her vision for the to acquire other developmental milestones. Okay, and so now there is a development of software. Different software systems are there which are useful for the visual impairment or blind children. So they can use the auditory inputs for the response. They are doing like working on the telephones. Okay, they can use the auditory inputs and they can work. They can give the response. And whereas when the children are suffering with the visual impairment, auditory impairment, they can use the vision. They can use the typing skills. If the fine motor is good, they can use a type. They can type the messages. They can give response. Okay, and visual impairment we can see like speak, like we have the app in the mobiles, so they can use it speaker. So my conclusion is early intervention for the developmental disabilities and autism spectrum disorder is very crucial because it leverages the neuroplasticity of brain during infancy and toddlerhood, and it helps to maximize the child development and also to improve the long-term outcomes and prevention of disability and leading to more independent and fruitful life. So this is very useful for society, parents, and also for the individual. It gives a positive outcome in the society. So healthy baby, healthy child is to healthy society. It reduces the burden on the society also. So any queries? Hello.
Covered. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a wonderful presentation. Actually, you covered all the things we were discussing. Like Dr. Annapurna was also telling, we need to cover the comorbidities and all. So you have excelled everything. You have given very good outline, and I think you are a pro like you are professional in your presentation. It was very useful and very
Thank you.
nice presentation. Thank you. Uh, yeah. So now we can understand what and all we can as a homeopath we can help in these kids in autism along with comorbidity. And uh, I want to know, do you think uh, never well since that thing? That is like mother's illness, rubella, toxic thing, anything worse about. So can they be having some help with medicines of homeopathy? They're like uh, no source or
Yeah.
isopathy type medicines. Will they have some impact?
Yes. We can give like tuberculinum,
No.
carcinosinum. So
Okay.
in the first, we can give one dose
Mm.
along with other medicines like Beretta, which is useful
Mm.
for the brain development. And you have
Okay.
seen many positive results with the homeopathy, like
Okay.
calcarea phos and
Mm.
tarantula when there is a hyperactivity in the
Happen.
kids, and the calcarea phos. And
Mm.
many cases I observe like Pika, like they'll be mouthing everything,
Mm.
like
Mm.
licking soaps, something, everything like licking up the walls. So I
Mm.
have seen improvement within 1 month also, like after giving calcarea carb and calcarea fast. And there is a lot of like speech also. I get many
Mm.
calls from other centers where they started already like early intervention, like the speech therapy and occupational therapy, but there was no improvement. But after starting homeopathy, after giving homeopathy, we can see very
Mm.
changes like behavior changes
Mm.
and speech development also.
Oh,
Okay.
very
And
nice.
if
Mm.
we see like we can give, if they are hyperactive, we can
Mm.
give tarantula, okay, and hyoscyamus and stramonium also very important.
Mm.
It improves a lot, like phobias,
Mm. Mm.
and language development. And there is a
Yeah.
history of emotional trauma. I've
Mm.
seen cases after ignitia. I prescribed two cases like based on
Mm.
cause during because of emotional depressed mother during pregnancy. So I prescribed the ignitia. After ignitia, that development was very fast.
Oh.
You can see within 3 to 6 months.
Mm.
And for a few behavior changes like very like scratching, biting. So
Mm.
after 5 years, I got one case where we have seen like the child was unable to sit in the flight
Mm.
while coming to India. They came from US for treatment.
Mm.
Okay, but a child was unable to sit, and she started like scratching, biting the parents while sitting in
Mm.
the plane. But after
Mm.
the medicine, like after while returning to the US, so they
Mm.
himself were very happy because she was very fine while going while uh,
Oh.
throughout the journey, she was sitting very calm and peacefully.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So nice. Ma'am, I treated few very severe cases of autism in kids. They are in the other the end of that spectrum. In that one case, one girl was treated at 3 years itself,
Okay.
but she didn't improve. I think they got treatment in a this nowadays we have home care or something like that, no? That type of setup.
Mm.
They're not aware. Maybe it was a combination drug or something like that.
Yeah.
So, do you think single remedies will be more appropriate? Do you think complex remedies will jeopardize the cases? Because why 2 to 3 year old child is started with homeopathy, I suppose that has to help them because I have seen in most of my cases, but this was
Actually,
little
um,
different.
yeah, I have seen cases where they came from other homeo centers also. You should not name the homeo center, so like because
Mm.
we are in the same field, but they are
Yeah, yeah.
not taking the entire history.
Mm.
And
Yes,
the
yes.
parents are telling like without even observing the kid, they are giving the
Mm.
medicine for 6 months, and they are
Definitely.
taking around like 1.5 lakh per like package.
Yes, yes.
It's truly totally commercial. So they are complaining why it is so. There was no change even after going for 6 months taking treatment. Also there was
Mm.
no. So after spending with them when they came to me,
Mm.
I started like inquiring everything. So
Mm.
after the case, they while going, they said like, "You are very good,
Mm.
ma'am. You are taking everything in detail, but they didn't
Mm.
inquire anything like what it is a history during pregnancy or
Mm.
after delivery.
Mm.
No history. They are simply prescribing the medicines without asking
Mm.
any questions.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It happens.
so we can't blame the homeopathy, but
Yeah.
yeah, the homeopathy is good if we give proper medicine, a
Maybe.
constitutional medicine, and according to the like anti nosod or
Correct.
it gives positive result in many cases.
Yes, yes, yes.
So after 5 years, 6 years, also I have seen very good improvement. But if
Very
you
good.
got them at 2 years of age, and I've seen few cases where they are going to the normal school. That
Yes.
gives very happy. And I have few videos are also, but it should not be shared. So that's why I didn't say.
Yes, yes, yes.
But I'm very happy to treat it, to see the response, to see the positive
Yes.
results.
Correct. Yeah. Anupa, ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Your presentation was really good, Dr. Swaroop.
Thank
You
you.
touched all the areas were covered, and you did it well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for giving this opportunity to present myself. And this is my first webinar.
Oh, that's really great. With your experiences, I think you have
Oh, that's
experience.
really great, ma'am. I thought you were a professional. That was so nice.
No, but
Yeah.
there's lots of experience, Dr. Rekha. That's why she could tell it so well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Yes.
experience,
That I can.
that's why you
I
could
worked
present.
at Nilofer Hospital for 6 years, where I have treated more than 8,000 of cases of developmental delays. Like I
That's
treated,
that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
really used to get like around 20 to 30 kids per day in the OPD.
Mama.
So only below 3 years of age, only I got 8,000 cases in 6 years of experience over there, and son many complex,
Cases
very
more,
rare chromosomal disorders, chromosomal anomalies. Daily,
lot,
uh,
lot of cases are there nowadays. Isn't
yes,
it? Developmental delays are very much increased than I think
yes,
more than 10 years back we didn't have this many cases.
Yes.
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 Only after COVID, we are seeing a lot of cases of autism.
Lot.
Okay, then
Thank you,
thank you.
Dr. Swarupa, for the wonderful presentation.
Wonderful.
Thank you, audience, for being there with us. And we have many more lectures waiting for us. Yes, in the pipeline, you can say. So thank you so much once again. We'll be meeting for the next lecture. Good night, everybody. Bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Good night.
Yeah, bye, ma'am.
Thank you. Good night.